Good morning. This whole travel was kind of really interesting for me. I was excited to go, but same time, my mind is here also. Then when I arrived in airport in Korea, they told me, oh, you can't go inside Korea. You have to go back. And I didn't have a visa. Actually, I did not need a visa to go to Korea. I was from India. I was always going there for almost every other month. So Indians who travel to Korea more than 10 times, then after that, we don't need visa. So that's why I didn't really bother about that. I just went there. But somehow this new passport didn't have that much visa stamped on that. And I went there without those visas with this new passport. So after checking that, they said, oh, now you have to go back. Then oh my God, what do I do? Then I asked, can I just stay one day just for tomorrow? Then they said, no, sorry. Then they took me to another room nearby the immigration post. Then I'm sitting there. The highest officer in that room, he doesn't talk much English. Then when I tried to talk to him, he told me, don't talk. Then sit there. Then he called airline people. Then they came, and another person is kind of preparing my documents to come back to America. Then I thought, oh my God, I won't be able to attend in Korea, then I won't be able to reach back here also before the program. Oh my God, that's going to be terrible. Then I also thought, my plan to next week, I was planning to share my experience in Korea, then what I'm going to talk next week? Then somehow, this airline person, I talked to him, he was very patient, and then also he didn't want to take me back immediately. I think maybe they don't have a seat or something. Then I explained to him, this is the reason I don't have a visa. I don't really need. Then somehow he explained to immigration people, then they check a little bit more, then somehow they pull out everything from their system, so they allowed me to go in. Otherwise, I would have been after kind of 40 plus hours of travel, I would have ended up here probably Tuesday night, the time you finish the program here. That would have been really good. Oh my God, I was lucky. Anyway, I was so happy to see the pictures from here. Really amazing program we had here. So many couples standing together and with the full church. And when I showed our pictures to everyone there, everyone's so happy. Wow, you have a big program there. And I was so happy to see that. And again, in Korea also, we had an amazing program. And I'm sure you all read many reports and so many pictures. And for me personally, I'm attending after several years. I used to attend almost every blessing ceremony from 2003 to 2009. Then 2010 onwards, after I came here, I never been to Korea. So this is first time within this 5 years. So kind of really refreshing. And also I had a chance to meet with several people I worked together in Asia. Many of them become this year, some of them become continental directors. And I think one Italian, probably some of you know, Umberto Angelucci, became a continental director. He worked with us in India. Then some other leaders also became other leaders. And also, I think our Reverend Dinose also got appointed as itinerary worker for America. That also kind of really nice. Of course, he is already as an itinerant, he working all over America, but directly appointed by true parents, that's something really different and something we can really proud of. So let's congratulate all of them. Also, congratulations to all of you and thank you all of you for really making this ceremony here something we can really proud of. That's kind of because of all of your hard work, we could do that. That's something we can be proud of. And for me personally, being in Korea was a great blessing. And the surrounding blessing time, it's an amazing time where we can really listen to true parents directly and also meeting with all the leaders from around the world and directly listening to their stories, their testimonies, and to see all these inspiring activities happening there is always give me a lot of hope and a lot of courage and conviction that we are doing something right. And I really believe that we are making a phenomenal change in the world. When we are in Korea celebrating together with all the missionaries and everyone, we can really see that that's the change we are making in the world. And this time we had so many young leaders from all around the world. Especially I see a lot of people from Africa, Asia, and all over the world. From those regions until now we didn't have so many. But that was a big addition I see this time. And also we had many young leaders from our country also. So it was so inspiring to see that. And also I met with, though his brother-in-law, Nami Huang. I knew his father for several years, but the way I see him also, I saw him as a kind of really bright-spirited person, but somehow I didn't have a chance to talk to him. But at the end of the day, I think Friday evening, somehow he was near to me, then I wanted to know who he is. Then I introduced myself, then he also was very happy to see me when I introduced myself. Oh, are you the New Jersey pastor? Somehow he knew me, then I was so surprised. Then he explained he is connected here and anyway, very, very convinced person. Another friend of him also. That was a kind of big change. So many young leaders, young pastors. That was very good. And again, this year, True Mother invited many of the original missionaries went out to the whole nations. Especially from European countries, True Mother invited all the original missionaries went out to the world in 1975. And I met with several of them. And one older person, I was very, I see kind of older person, but very inspired, walking very fast. And then I wanted to know him because the way he is kind of acting, feel like so inspired. Then one day I went to him and I introduced myself and as a pastor from America. Then he asked me, where are you originally from? He could, probably from my accent, he could figure out I'm not from America itself. Then I told him I'm from India. Then he suddenly stand up and give me a big hug. I was surprised what happened. Then he told me he was one of the original missionaries, came to India in 1975. And then he stayed there 6 months, but he couldn't make any spiritual children that time, but he was so happy. He thought I'm the only one Indian member, but there are several others. Anyway, he wasn't active recently, but True Mother wanted to invite all the people who went to, especially European leaders who went to pioneering missions on 75. And also True Mother invited all those people who went on butterfly mission. And probably many of you know. Have you heard about that? This butterfly mission is something very special mission Only very convinced and very strong members went to the former communist countries. And those missions were very, very special missions. It's almost like it's guaranteed that you may not come back. That kind of almost like giving up your life for God and true parents in order to pioneer in that communist countries. Even though those countries may have our mission, they were told not to contact our existing church or existing organizations, but do almost like a secret mission. And True Mother wanted to acknowledge them, wanted to thank them for their sacrifice, and many of them were really, really moved by True Mother's heart. And I was moved by that act of True Mother, and also just by seeing those people, it was truly amazing how they went out that time. And one person, right after I landed in Korea, somehow he came to me and talked to me. And he is a missionary right now in Paraguay. He went to Bangladesh in 1975 when he was 19 years old. And ever since that time, he spent 6 years in Bangladesh, then he moved on to some African country, then different missions, then finally he came to Paraguay. I had a chance to talk to him several occasions. Then I asked him, how do you feel now? How could you, like right after his college, he went on to mission. Then still very happy and leading an exciting life. And when I talked to him, I felt only because of his conviction in his mission and the conviction in the mission he received from God and true parents is still kind of allowing him to go forward. And that was so phenomenal for me to see that. And many times, these pioneers went out to different countries in mission, almost sacrificing their entire life in a way, but for them, that was really fulfilling their life, really giving life to other people. And that is so inspiring for me. When I go to Korea and to wherever, when I meet these pioneers, I feel like, oh my God, I have to be like them. I have to at least try in my life to become like people like that. Then we can, then only sometimes we feel, sometimes they themselves feel that they could not bring so much victory in those countries. But being there as a representative of true parents and leading, being a person for God and true parents to claim that country, that's something phenomenal. And I know many of you also were, I know Mr. Bibi was in many countries and he came to India. And several of you did that kind of missions, and it's inspiring, it's amazing. Thank you so much for that. And again, this time I attended several programs with True Mother. Within these 5 days, we had several meetings, and almost all those major programs, True Mother by herself came, and always she was so convinced, and she was so proud of our movement, and she is very, very confident on the direction we are going. And one point, actually the first talk she gave before the blessing that day morning Hunduk program, she mentioned that being the true parents of the entire humanity, that's not something easy. It's a very, very difficult mission. She didn't say mission. It's a very difficult thing to be the true parents of the entire humanity. As a true mother, many times she has to remind people what is their responsibility. She said, we all, each and every one of us have our own responsibility. No matter we receive blessing or not, still we have a portion of our portion of responsibility we have to fulfill. And sometimes when we don't do that, she has to remind us. And sometimes she has to make tough decisions in order to make sure she will be able to build Chonalguk before she go to spirit world. And again she said, she promised to True Father that in her lifetime she will establish Chonalguk here. And also she said, sometimes we think going to spirit world and working from true spirit world is easy. She said, no, it's really difficult. When we are here in this physical world, we can do things in comparatively much easier, in a very easy way. Of course, we know it is not easy, but compared to being in spirit world, it's easy to do things here. So she urged all of us to do everything right now here so that we can really build kingdom of heaven, Chonalguk here when we are here. And also, all the different speeches, one thing she was always talking about, that was about the olive trees. And probably you read some of that, some of her speeches on internet. And she was talking about the olive trees because these olive trees grow in a, most of them, like traditionally these olive trees are from Mediterranean countries. And the land these trees grow is look like a barren land, and which cannot produce anything, unfertile land, land which doesn't have any nourishment, the land which doesn't have any water, almost like a desert. But these trees are growing there. And how it can grow there? If there is some other kind of trees we planted in this land, it will immediately die, probably in a couple of weeks or in a month. The other trees, other bushes will die off in this land. But these olive trees are growing in this desert kind of land and giving us this amazingly nutritious olive oil and also table olive we get from these trees. And the reason why it is growing there is because the roots of these trees grow very deep. And also, these roots of these trees grow wide also. It becomes really, really very strong roots. And even if you cut off that tree totally, it again come out again from the trunk. So it becomes that strong because of the rooted, it get rooted in that soil. It go deep beneath searching for water and nutrition. Then it finds enough water and nutrition so that it can produce fruit and it can produce olive oil from its seeds. And so it becomes really, really fruitful in that desert land, in that seemingly look like a barren land which cannot produce anything there. And later in her another speech, she mentioned that, True Mother mentioned, the world we live right now is not a good world. She mentioned that it is a dangerous world in many ways. In this world doesn't have good moral values. This world doesn't have good ethical standards. This world doesn't have any respect towards each other. This world, people try to cheat each other. People try to take advantage of other people. So it is not something pleasant. So how we can survive here? how we can be fruitful here, how we can even expect that we will be able to survive here. It becomes like almost hopeless kind of feeling. And when we think about that, we can really almost feel like in this world, no good human being can live. No good human being with a good standard can survive in this world. Does that mean we all have to run away to somewhere else? No. She mentioned that we have to make this world a better world. We have to transform this world by our being in this world. By being in this world, we have to change this world. It's by going away from this world, we cannot even keep our own life. We cannot keep even our own faith. We cannot even keep our own standard by going away from this current world. Only by really become totally rooted, get rooted in this world, and then really share that rootedness to other people and transform them, then we can change this world. But that's not really easy. That's not really something we can just imagine that this will automatically happen in this world. Here, in this today's reading, we were reading about how we are bequeathing our standards, how we can really pass on the traditions and things we received from God and true parents. And that's where the beauty of the program we had last week. That is the importance of the blessing ceremony we had last week. Here, we did this ceremony. We did this beautiful blessing ceremony. This is not just another marriage. This is not just a simple wedding ceremony we had. This is something we inherited, this tradition from God, from true parents. And in order to pass on this tradition to everyone, true parents were sending so many missionaries, so many people to all around the world in order to make sure this will survive, in order to make sure that human being, everyone will accept this, and somehow this tradition which is restored by true parents will be able to last for eternity. And that's where all around the world, our pioneers went. And here, right now we witnessed to that our young people, some of the new members joined to our church, our movement, and also our own children who are inheriting this tradition from us, from God and true parents. And that is so phenomenal for true parents, so phenomenal for God. And I remember this time while I was there during that program, probably you noticed that True Mother, before she was going to read the vows, when the representative couples came, she was guiding them even how to stand then. I remember she asking them to come closer to each other, then stand straight. And I was so much feeling like how affectionately True Mother is asking them to receive what she received from God and pass on to the next generation. And I'm sure the parents of the children who receive that blessing also must be really, really feeling that. And they are receiving from our hands what we receive from God and true parents. We are able to raise our children, then they are receiving, they are passing that, receiving that tradition. Then again, our hope is that they will pass on to their children, not only to their children, and to other people around us. And here in the today's Hunduk reading, it again says that we need to we have responsibility. This is not just finishing after we receive that blessing. We need to transform this world with the blessing we receive from God and true parents. But sometimes when we go and try to pass on to other people, they may not understand what we have. Like I mentioned about that early missionary who went to Bangladesh and spending his life all throughout this third world countries. When another person look into that life, he may not feel that it's a blessed life. He may feel it is something strange. I don't want to do this kind of life. When we try to convince another person, he may think that way. And sometimes people think, oh, what kind of life is that? Like parents get involved and choose our spouse. And in our case, it was true parents choosing spouse. For people, it may be something crazy. It may be something can't understand at all. But does that mean our blessingness has a lower value? No. It has an amazing value even though other people don't understand that. I want to share one story. It's not a story. It's a part of Indian history. My grandfather always used to tell me. It's part of Indian Christian history. When Christianity came to India in AD 52, and that time India has, probably you all are aware of that, in India we have, or probably we had actually very actively, right now it is a little bit going down, this system called caste system. Have you heard about that? This is something people kind of very, people are put into different class divisions. There are some high class people, then little bit low class people, then lower class people, then at the bottom there is something called classless people. And these high class people don't even consider them as normal human beings. And that kind of bad system, when that was all over India, we had that. Then when Apostle Thomas came to India in AD 52, according to history, 12 high class people, high class families become Christians. And then when from Hinduism, then suddenly they became Christians. No one know who they were. Until then, they were high class people. Then they believe, these high class people thought, oh, now you are no more high class. And then they didn't want to mingle with them. And then nobody know where they belongs to. And they are not in high class anymore. They are not low class anymore. They never been low class, so no one know what class they belong to. That sometimes, like, I feel like we are also in a similar situation now. Like sometimes, like we join with this new truth. We are following a new tradition which we never had in the history. So we are like almost like nowhere kind of feeling. But what happened in India, even though they didn't belong to any other existing class, these people who join, who follow St. Thomas and who follow Jesus, they were so convinced in what they did. And they were transformed by the presence of Holy Spirit in them. They didn't care where they belongs to. They had a belongingness with God. They had a belongingness with Jesus. And over the centuries and over the years, what happened, they became like everyone started looking up towards them. They freely mingled with the high class people. They freely mingled with the low class people. They freely mingled with the classless people. And yet, they are totally okay. What is this? According to the existing caste system there, if a high class person touch a low class person, they believe they get tainted or they become bad. These high class people become bad. Whereas these new Christians, they didn't care about that. For them, they understood high and low doesn't matter in anything in this world. What matters is how much they are rooted with God, how much they have, how much relationship they have with God, how much they are able to manifest God and Jesus in their life. And that's why later what happened, these Christians who joined in this early times there, they became an amazingly powerful generation there, and people started respecting them regardless of, everyone started respecting them. No one has any doubt without being any class, they became so unique and special there. And everyone respect them. That's what we are creating here. And we're not exactly same thing, but I sometimes feel this is what we are going through. Like sometimes we mingle with all kind of people in our life, aren't we? I've been to several bars here in order to fundraise. And many of us going through mingle with any kind of people, but we don't get tainted by people. But we are able to give salvation which we receive from God and true parents. And that's how we will be able to transform this world. And that's what actually I see in this, when I witnessed to this blessing this time. I felt in my inner being, God was telling me, this is what I am creating. I am creating a new world. Within this world, where you all are creating this. With your conviction, when you speak to another person, you are spreading me. You are spreading you are sharing my transformation. Each and every one of us are sharing the transformation we receive from God through our true parents. And I strongly believe by observing last week's program, by glory, in a glorious way, why we celebrate that? Because by going through that ceremony, we are not just having another marriage ceremony. We are really changing. We are transforming this world by bringing God into each and every person's life. By people coming together as eternal husband and wife, we are exactly embodying God and bringing that divineness to other people. And that's the way we are creating a new world in this barren land where we sometimes feel like we can't survive. We will be able to survive when our faith is rooted and when we go through that process with conviction. We receive blessing with conviction. And when we see our children and our new members coming into our movement, when they receive that blessing with conviction and share to other people, we can be proudly, we can believe, we can proclaim to everyone that we are doing something right. And we are doing something right for God and true parents and for the world. The world needs true parents and true parents' teachings. And through that, God will be able to establish Chonalgok. That's what mother promised to true father, that before I go to spirit world, I will establish that. And today, isn't today considered the start of spring? Isn't it? I'm not sure exactly about that. Or March 20. Somehow, but what I'm saying is that in this spring, let us really give a spring to the entire world by letting God and true parents sprout from our hearts, so that people can really see what we are, who we are, then pass that to other people, so that people feel promise in this land. People can feel that, oh, there is something which is promising. Otherwise, many times we feel this land, this world, nothing can be fruitful here. But when we live in this world with courage, we are becoming like that olive trees, bringing fruits from that desert land, bringing fruits for other people who live there. And just like that, let us be olive trees who make fruit for other people. We became that olive trees which rooted in faith in God and true parents. I know all of you did that, and all of you are doing that in this coming spring and summer. Let us actively do that for God and true parents. Actively share the blessings we receive. Actively share the Holy Marriage blessing with everyone. We are going to have several blessing ceremonies in this coming summer. Our headquarters is encouraging us to do that. True Mother said that our movement should be led by blessing program as well as sexual purity movement. So that always come together. Let's do that convincingly, with conviction. Let us do that in this coming month. May God bless you. Thank you.